Scientology could be called, well, you could call it a religion of religions.
Howdy everybody, and welcome to the Indie Scientology podcast. I'm your host Andy, an Ultra Space Cowboy, and these are closed-door secret briefings about vital information about Scientology and the world, information that you need to know. And today's briefing is Scio facts that you need to know. So it's information about Scientology that you need to know. It's just a list I've made of all these dot points of just stuff that Scios need to know because it's the truth. And I'm going to try and shoot through the dot points quickly, but it's like essential facts about about Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard, stuff that you need to know. It's pretty important. I actually already did this briefing like a month ago, but for whatever reason the camera stuffed up, and I feel like it was almost like a message from God that it was supposed to happen. And I think it was because in that briefing I was a bit too honest. And since I'm moving on to another podcast and trying to get like larger viewers, I'm going to take like podcasting more seriously. I think I have to move into the territory where I have to be honest, but also I have to be careful about offending people. But when the podcast was small and, it was just like, I didn't really care. I could just unleash and just say stuff that is probably too offensive, but I'm starting to, I have to grow up more, and I have to be, more polite and understanding of my listeners, and so I think the reason that podcast stuffed up was because I was a bit too honest. I meant Christianity came up during the podcast, and I think I was just too honest in my words. And I think we've got to understand that we share the world with different people, and like let's say Latin music, because I'm in a Latin area. Like some people like that rhythm and that beat and that sort of stuff. So I need to not say that I think it's absolutely shit, and I think it's terrible music, and it's like has a negative effect on me. Like it's just the way that the Latin music goes, like do. It's just so fucking crazy. Like it's just shit. I think it's crap. Okay. So anyway, but people, we share the planet with people who like that. So I've got to be more mature, and I've got to somehow tell the truth, but at the same time, not, insult people, basically. Anyway, so now I'm going to do the briefing again, because I've got all the same dot points. I didn't delete any of the dot points, because I did like a whole hour and a half one, and I think it was a pretty good briefing, but it all got deleted. But I'll do it, and I'll try not to be too offensive to anyone, but still say the truth at the same time. Like, for example, let's just say, I'm going off topic again, but let's just say the military, for example. What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to say my real opinion? I think that if you work for the military, you're an absolute idiot, and you're just a dumbed down robot, and you're just a robot of the elite, and they own you because they're paying you, right? And you're just totally brainwashed, and you have to get the vaccines, and you have to do exactly what the government says, and you're just an idiot robot. And I can't respect someone who does that as a job. And it's almost like I feel like they deserve to just be sent into war and get slaughtered and die. Because if you're dumb enough to do that, then just go and die. I mean, I wouldn't go into a war. I mean, I probably couldn't follow any of the rules of the army, because I'd just be like, this is just ridiculous. But like, I mean, and anyway, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to insult American patriots who think they're being good by trying to work in the army and support it and stuff like that. It's just like, what am I supposed to say? I mean, I think that you're an idiot. You know what I mean? I think that somebody goes in there and actually works for the military and, gets sent into slaughter for some stupid war, and you're just playing a little game by the elites who control the military, and you die. It's almost like, well, what the hell? Like, what, you thought you were actually fighting for freedom? You thought you were actually doing something good? Are you serious? What sort of crack are you smoking? Like, you obviously you can't think. I mean, I just think that they're robots. Anyway, so there, I just insulted people who are involved with the military. But what am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm supposed to lie and actually say, yeah, I think that's a good profession. It's a good way to earn money and it's respectable and that they're fighting for honorable purposes. And it's just like, no. The only thing I can respect about them is that they might think that they're, you know, fighting to protect something good, like the American system, which does have a lot of freedom or something like that. And like, that's a good idea, but they're totally misled. Anyway, I'll get on with this briefing, but I'm just trying to struggle with how am I supposed to not insult people? You know, I mean, my stuff is just bound to just insult people like there's no tomorrow. Anyway, also, one of my other vids got taken off YouTube, and then I don't know if I can even post on YouTube again for the Indie Scientology podcast, because it was the one where I visited the Mexico City ideologue, and in it, I mentioned stuff about COVID, and I think that's why it got deleted. And then it said you got too many strikes and you can't upload again or something. So I'll see what happens, but you just have to be so careful with things. You know, it's really annoying. Anyway, in the video, I mean, I can't say. I can't even comment on the video because I can't mention COVID, because then this one will end up this will have no chance of going onto YouTube. Anyway, but I'll get on with this briefing here. And so these are Scio facts you must know. Okay. TR0, which is basically you just sit there with your eyes closed, okay? That's pretty much it, right? That is awesome for your health, and that's really good for your mind, and particularly you sit with a straight back, and I'd recommend like breathing. Just make sure you do big breaths in and out, because then you'll also get your oxygen levels up while you're doing this. And you've got to have the straight back because it helps the energy flow and everything. And then straight back lifts the ribs and helps get more oxygen in. But you just do TR0. And don't say Andy's saying screw all bullshit. I mean, I remember when the freaking more soups who follow the standard tech, apparently, I mean, they would say straight back. And L. Ron Hubbard wouldn't have anything written saying straight back. But maybe he did, but I just didn't know it. But anyway, straight back. So I'm not saying some weird meditation funky shit, squirrel stuff, just straight back, of course. It's the right posture. It's how you get the energy flowing. Anyway, just 10 minutes of that every day is essential. You've got to add that into your routine, because while you're doing the breathing, you'll get your exercises up. You'll give your mind a bit of a power nap. And anyway, you must do it. It's a Scientology fact you must know. It's OTTR0, and also it is a type of meditation, in case you're wondering. There are numerous different types of meditations, and I looked into it for ages because I thought this OTTR0 was just too similar to meditation, right? And so I thought there must be a type of meditation that is that, and there is that. And I found it. There is a type of meditation where you just sit there and you be there, okay? So don't say, like this is what Captain Bill says, oh, meditation, screw bullshit, and you're making the Satan go to sleep and all this crap that Captain Bill says. I mean, you have to remember he was a tranny, okay? So you can't trust what he says, right? Anyway, don't listen to his bullshit, okay, about meditation being bad. Meditation is good, and L. Ron Hubbard promoted meditation with his OTTR0. That basically is meditation. It's a type of meditation. He took that from someone else. So anyway, you've got to do that, okay? Add that to your daily routine, because seriously, it'll increase your intelligence and stuff, and honestly, it'll increase your IQ, and you won't be as hectic. And I'll give you an example. I arrived at a hotel, and I think I didn't like it, and it was actually, I chose that hotel because it was near a Bikram yoga center that I wanted to go to, and it was actually really good. But at that time, I was stressed or whatever. I hadn't done my OTTR0, and I left and went somewhere else. And then I came back a week later to this hotel, and I was like, oh, I should have stayed here in the first place. I shouldn't have been all hectic and stuff. I had good internet, and it was It was a good place, but I didn't recognize it because I was all hyper and I was like, oh. But if I had some chilled out person who was doing OTTR0 while I was there, they would say to me, Andy, don't move hotels. Just stay here. This is sweet. Stop and look at it. This is perfect. It's like walking distance from the Bikram Center. You know, and I would have been like, oh yeah. So if I'd done OTTR0 that day, I wouldn't have made that bad decision. So that's the sort of things it can do. We can end up making hectic decisions like buying something that we shouldn't buy or going and doing this and that. And it's because we get hyperactive or whatever from life and we get stressed, I think, and it messes with our ability to think. But if you just chill out for 10 minutes and just let go, you're in a right frame of mind, you make better decisions. All right. In the Sea Org, there used to be strippers that used to work in the Sea Org, okay? And that was okay by the org. So that's how funky things were in the 70s. You need to know that because there are people right now in the Sea Org that are following all these super strict rules, and they're like, they didn't know that when L. Ron Hubbard was around in the Sea Org in the 70s, he didn't care that Sea Org staff were working as strippers, okay? Because why? I mean, it was helping them get money, right, to afford to be in the Sea Org, and that's all that really matters, right? So Hubbard didn't care, and things were really funky back then when it comes to the second dynamic and other things. And if people knew what Hubbard didn't care about, like, it's just, things are just so strict these days. But just remember that there were strippers working for the Sea Org in the 70s, okay? And Hubbard didn't care, you know? The day that LRH registered the Church of Scientology, he also registered the name the Church of American Science. And the idea of that basically was to trick Christians into getting into a religion that was not Christianity, but it had a flavor of Christianity. And he says this in the definition of, I think, the Church of American Science. So when you look up that, you find out he's willing to mislead his followers. He's willing to trick them. Do you see what I mean? Like, he's willing to say, look, here's average Joe. He's a dumb Christian, right? Let's get him into this religion and make him think that it's like sort of Christianity, but as they go along, bring it further and further away from Christianity and ends up being a totally new religion and a better one. That's how Hubbard thought. Do you see what I mean? So he's basically willing to just lie to people who are new to Scientology, like, up front. Because he's a shifty salesman, basically. He's willing to be that. He doesn't care. So just the fact that he registered Church of American Science the same day he registered the Church of Scientology, or the same time, it just shows that he was trying to decide what he was going to do with a religion and which angle he was going to play and how he was going to sell it and stuff like that. And anyway, I think people need to know that, because when you read the OT levels, or when you do a certain part of Scientology, Hubbard could be saying one thing but not giving you the full story, because he's doing the same thing how he was trying to trick the Christians with American Science. He's a shifty person, and it's not necessarily like bad, because when it comes to Christianity, I think it's very stagnant religion. This is me being polite. Very stagnant religion, like as in, you know, you just believe in Jesus or the Holy Spirit and have faith, and that's it. It's not like, you know, a very active religion where you have to do lots of things and go on an adventure and you really evolve. You just have faith in Jesus and you're saved. So it's a very stagnant religion. You're very stopped. Very, I guess you could say, conservative. Just, but so by him tricking a Christian, right? Because at the start they'd be like, oh, I don't want to get into anything weird because I'm a Christian. I just like things to be perfect and straightforward and nothing funky. You're not going to go to a naturopath. I'm not going to do all these unusual things because I'm a Christian and I'm very conservative and just drive a normal car, live a normal life. That sort of attitude that that Christians seem to have. So, well, definitely Christians back then used to have, because things are all changing. Since 2012, the world's changed. It really is the beginning of the new world in 2012. So to take a person who's like that, who's, not willing to try anything funky, no, nothing unusual, no. Like, they're not like me, where if someone was talking about ayahuasca ceremony and I never did it, I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm up for trying that. You know what I mean? But that would be like, oh, no, never do that. Oh, no, not ayahuasca. Oh, no, scared. Oh, don't want to do that. Don't want to try that. Oh, I'm scared of trying anything new or coming out of my comfort zone and doing anything different. Anyway, that's what a lot of the conservative Christians are like. They just got their way and that's it. It's not necessarily that bad for Hubbard to take that person and get that person into a religion that's a bit funky, but the person only thinks it's a little bit funky because you make it appear like it's a Christian religion, and then you trick them, this Church of American Science idea that Hubbard had, and then you get them slowly more and more funky. Then eventually their mind is opened and they're like, oh, okay, I'm willing to entertain new ideas and I'm not so controlled. It's not necessarily bad, but it is shifty. You are misleading someone. But anyway, it's just, we've got to know that about Hubbard because he does it in Scientology all along. To his Scientology members, he is not 100% honest. He's a very shifty person. You need to know that. Another thing you need to know is that L. Ron Hubbard was like a 1-1. I swear, you look into his history, his behavior, the things he said and stuff like that, he was 1-1 and he was suppressive to a lot of people. I know he did some great things, but at the same time he did some suppressive things, like honestly. And Scientologists need to face this fact about L. Ron Hubbard. He's not this perfect person. That's the character he was playing. That's what he was making you think he was. But he was quite unusual, and he had definite 1-1-y traits. And then people who were around him and stuff, like a lot of them ended up having fights with him and not being friends with him and leaving Scientology and stuff like that. And yeah, like L. Ron Hubbard would say things like, he would say 1-1-y things, like he would say something like about, these are the stories that people would say about him. Like he'll be talking about Joe or something, and he'd say, oh yeah, Joe's a prick or whatever, blah. And then Joe would walk in the room and be like, hello, Joe, how you doing, Joe? And like he'd be all friendly to him. And I'm telling you, he was 1-1-y. Okay, so you need to understand that. Okay, if you're a full believing Scientologist, whether you're inside the church or out, you need to understand that L. Ron Hubbard is a character that he's created, and he's put his name on all these paperworks and stuff that a lot of them are written by other people and processes that other people came up with, but he put his name on it for the L. Ron Hubbard brand. It's like Santa Claus. It's like inventing this thing, this character, L. Ron Hubbard, the savior. And that's not the real L. Ron Hubbard. If you were around in the 70s and you saw the real L. Ron Hubbard, you probably would have blown the Sea Org or whatever. You probably would have left Scientology being like, nah, that guy's crazy. But when you're a part of Scientology, you get only the good stories and you don't hear about the 1-1-y side and stuff like that. And I've noticed in my life that when I've been around suppressive people, I feel that their presence is big on me or my mind, and it affects me, and I feel like overpowers my universe when you're friends with like a 1-1 or something like that. And the same thing happens with Hubbard. Like you have dreams about Hubbard, or like the person's just they impress on your universe, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but to me it makes sense that he was a 1-1, because it's just the way that when you're in Scientology and how he just totally takes over your life and your mind and stuff, and you're totally into L. Ron Hubbard and his thoughts and everything, and it takes over your whole universe. So anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've ever been suppressed by someone, and it's like their thoughts come up in your mind. Like maybe it's like an annoying boss or something like that, and you know you have to like they're in your mind a lot basically, and that's what happens with Hubbard. I know it's the same thing. Okay, so L. Ron Hubbard was impotent, and it seems to be, that means he can't get an erection, right? And it seems to have been from steroid and drug use back in the 50s. And you might go, why the hell was Hubbard using steroids and drugs and stuff? Because I thought it was against drugs. No, you don't understand Hubbard. You don't understand. Hubbard believes in doing whatever is necessary to achieve a goal. So if he was noticing that steroid use was making him more confident, then he would take steroids. If he noticed that a drug was making him be a better public speaker, he would take that. He wasn't a Scientologist. That's another point I have to make clear, that Scientologists need to know that L. Ron Hubbard was not a Scientologist. I know that sounds ridiculous, but he wasn't. Okay, he was a follower of Aleister Crowley's religion. Okay, the OTO, and that's where you get stuff like OT from. And even the symbol of OT is the same as the OTO symbol, because Hubbard's giving you little clues of his real religion, basically, and where he got his inspiration for Scientology from. But Hubbard was a follower of Crowley's religion, and that religion is do what thou wilt. That's the belief. That's the ultimate belief of the whole thing. Do what the fuck you want to do. And so Hubbard, even though he knew that drugs might cause problem with case and stuff like that, he wouldn't care. He would go, I've got to do what thou wilt. I've got to achieve my goal. And he would take steroids in order to improve his ability to do stuff. And then a lot of use of that leads to impotency, being impotent. But you have to understand, that's why when you're judging Hubbard's behavior, when you see what he did, how he wasn't a Scientologist, how he broke lots of rules, he was a squirrel, how there was a time when a top CS on the ship got all Hubbard's folders together when Hubbard was having case problems, reviewed it all, and then said, this is what needs to be done. And Hubbard came in, stole all the folders back, punched the guy and kicked him off the ship and said fuck you, basically, and didn't do what the CS said. Like, he violates his own tech, and he was also an alcoholic. That's something you need to know as well, because, you know, like, must have helped him function in life or whatever. But he was honestly a heavy alcoholic, and when he was an old man, he had some liver problem, or I can't remember what it's called, but he honestly had a disease that alcoholics get. And in those last few years of his life, he was probably drinking more than ever. And so he was just a total different person to the character that the church make him out to be. And it's similar with politicians these days and some famous people and stuff. You don't know how they really are in their private life, but they are different to the way they are portrayed. They're not actually like that. For example, Obama, there's a rumor that he smokes crack, that he smokes ice, doesn't surprise me, and also that his wife's a man. Michelle Obama's actually a man, and she's so tall. It makes total sense. Like, he's a perfect person to become a president, but he's gay. So what do? You know, he's with a tranny. So then you just give him some kids, and because the CIA sets these whole things up. I mean, we know it with Biden and stuff. They rigged the whole election to put him in and stuff. So, Obama just is not who you think he really is. You know, he's just a totally different person. And it's the same, it's more extreme with Hubbard. Hubbard is just, the way Hubbard really was so different to the character, the OT character he makes himself out to be. He was actually a nutter. That's another point. That's another Scientology fact you need to know. He was actually a nutter. Okay, legitimate nutter. Like, he would make people who would clean his clothes, he would make him wash a shirt like 15 times. And he'd be like, no, I can still smell some chemical or something on the shirt, and then it was just crazy. And then 2 months later, like, he'll be fussing about having dust in his room on the ship, and then 3 months later he would be out undercover when he had to flee and go to New York. There's so much to Hubbard's life. And he would just put on a dusty t-shirt from a secondhand shop. So he's 3 months earlier, he's fussing like there's no tomorrow about dust. Then 3 months later, he's putting on a dusty t-shirt, and it's like, what the hell? Like, he was insane. That's what you have to understand. And then when you look at all the Scientology and you look at all his writings and all that sort of stuff, and you understand how he's insane, it makes a lot more sense. Like, he was not a rational, sensible, normal person. He put on this character, okay, that isn't how he was. All right, so anyway. Yeah, I mean, he was addicted to alcohol. He was addicted to cigarettes, which is nicotine. He was addicted to caffeine, right? Whether you get it from Coca-Cola or coffee. But it's a drug. Caffeine 100% is a drug. I've done experiments with it. It's a drug. And it's not like, the psychedelics or those unusual spiritual drugs, which are like borderline, even if they're drugs, they're like medicines or something. These are actual dirty drugs that, like, you take it, it changes your mind, it puts you in a different state, and then you get addicted to it, and then it's like a mild version of ice. That's honestly what caffeine is. It's a mild version of ice. Nicotine has an effect of, like, I think it chills you out or whatever, and Hubbard was chain smoking. He was hooked on nicotine. And then we also have the alcoholism. And these things I've investigated thoroughly, okay? I'm not just hearing a rumor from someone who hates Scientology or something and then repeating it. I didn't hate Scientology. I like Scientology. I think it's good. But you open up a can of worms, and, like, there's truth and there's lies, and it's twisted and it's crazy, and Hubbard was crazy. But I'm not just saying shit, okay? I've actually researched this stuff, because I said to a friend the other day how Captain Bill was a tranny, right? He dressed up in women's clothes, right? It was a thing he was into, right? And the friend was like, where'd you get this from? Who said this? And stuff. And it's just like, dude, I've investigated it, okay? I'm not repeating a rumor that one person said. I've investigated it. I only open up my mouth and speak shit out of my mouth once I know it's the truth. Do you understand that? That's why this podcast has been going on for so long, because I need all this research time to fact check everything. Okay? If I just opened up my gob like the mainstream media do and just say blah, blah, blah every time something happens, then none of it is reliable, and it's just like, what's the point? But I actually full on look into things heavily. Like, for example, the alien thing. Like, it's real. It is real. I didn't just watch a few documentaries and then I didn't just do a 6-month investigation back in 2014 and say aliens are real, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I looked into so many things. I listened to so much stuff for years and years and years. And then I was like, all the evidence was in. I was like, this is a real subject. Aliens are 100% real. And then I announced it. So when it comes to this briefing you're listening to, and I mentioned stuff about the nicotine addiction, the caffeine addiction, the alcohol addiction, okay? The steroid drug, like, that's the truth. I mean, it is the truth. The steroid drug usage thing, I'm not as 100% certain as those other things, but it's very likely. Okay, it's like, it's up there at the point where I'm willing to say it. Like, so that's pretty high. It's not like at the start, I thought the alcoholism and the whole drug use thing was outrageous, and I was like, no way. And I just looked further and further, and I was like, yeah, this is actually true. Anyway, so understand that anything you hear from me, I know it sounds whacked, but this is thoroughly researched and shit. Like, for example, I was just listening to the OT level tech volumes of, like, OT8, OT7, OT6. So when I talk, I'm talking from stuff I've actually read. I've read the HCOBs about those things, okay? So when I say in OT7, it's processes like, I don't know, be on the other side of the planet and then put your intention into another person's mind. Like, that shit is stuff that I've actually read. That's actually what some of the exercises are. I'm not making it up. Okay? Anyway, just thought I'd clear that up, because you need to know that, like, I'm someone who you can trust. This is actually, you know, you're just hearing my own investigations. Like, and I'm not making any money from this, but I want to do the investigations. I'm personally interested, all right? And I don't just hear someone say one thing and then I go, oh, yeah, that's probably the case. I hear it and I go, okay, all right, and I'll keep an eye out for that. And then I see more and more things, and then I do a little investigation and I go, oh my God, that's actually true. Hubbard was an alcoholic. Whoa, that's deep. People need to know that. Because he created, it's just ridiculous, the Scientology. He created the Purif. He wrote things saying how drugs are bad and how, you know, they key in body thetans and just, it's just like, what the hell? And then he goes off and becomes an alcoholic himself because he was an actual nutter. And when I say an actual nutter, like I was saying the t-shirt example, like I mean a nutter. Okay, like he would do stuff where they were recording a song and he would hear noises that aren't there, and people would be like, why is he getting upset about that noise? There's no noise there. He was crazy. And that's what you have to deal with. You have to understand. It's just important. That's why I'm only like now half a Scientologist, because I thought Hubbard was much more sensible and reasonable, and then it was crazy. And then now to find out, and then the last thing I found out about Hubbard is that he was very likely he was an intelligence agent. And then I was like, oh my God. So then that changes a lot of things, because it was like, this is one of the reasons how he got successful. And again, I'm not just saying a rumor. I mean, I've investigated like there's no tomorrow. I've done 5 briefings in a row of talking about all the reasons why Hubbard was a government agent. Right? But then you realize, oh, this is one of the reasons why a person who was crazy was able to get so successful, was because he had a secret group assisting him all along, because they were using Scientology for political purposes. And it's just so deep. Anyway, I'm going off topic. Okay, chemicals can cause PTSdness. So you know how when you're PTS, like you got, I don't know, a scary boss and they scare you and you're PTS and then you trip or something like that? Chemicals can do the same thing. Like you can be working, there's like a cleaning chemical for the pool or something like that, and you've got it and you get a smell of it and you get a whiff of it. So it goes into you, and then like half an hour later you can be walking and you can stub your toe because the cleaning chemicals fuck the operation of your body and it's sent you PTS. So just understand that. It's just a fact that you need. That's why I put it down, a fact you need to know. Chemicals can cause PTSdness. It's not just an annoying parent or an annoying lover or something like that fucking with your vibe. You can also, you know, if you have one of those Melbourne style coffees, not these Americans don't know what coffee's like till you go to Melbourne. I mean, it's like, what the hell? It's like a hardcore drug in Melbourne. It's really weird. Everything's stronger in Melbourne, I've sort of noticed, because I've been away from Melbourne, so it's kind of weird. Like even you go and you have chips at McDonald's and like here they're just like shit. But in Melbourne you have the chip and you're like, oh gosh, it just tastes good. And it's like, and then you have a coffee from 7-Eleven here and it's just like sort of watered down. You're like, oh, okay, or whatever. You have it in Melbourne, the 7-Eleven coffee, and you're like, whoa. I mean, it hits you like, I don't know what's going on, but there's seriously something going on. So I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, was it the chemical thing? Anyway, you have a whiff of one of these Melbourne style coffees, and that can send you PTS for the afternoon. So, look, I think that we need to view ourselves as being these robot bodies that are like Ferraris, and you should only put high quality fuel into the Ferrari, and you can chemicals can fuck up the Ferrari. Okay, like they can make it. I don't know. Like, and this is why I think you should do the OTTR0, because it's all about vibes. If you're in a nice, comfortable, vibing situation, you walk and you don't stub your toe on something on the ground. You walk out onto the street and you don't accidentally hit a car. But when you're in bad vibes, you walk out and you go, oh shit, oh, I nearly hit the car, oh, I nearly stubbed my foot on the toe. It's kind of like we're all these vibrating beings all around us. And when our vibes are good, we're in sync with the universe and we move around and we don't bang into things. But when you take chemicals or you go PDS, your vibe gets all messed with and you go through the universe and then you bang into things. You hit into the wall and you hit your head on something and you go, oh, what the hell, I hit my head. And like it doesn't happen when you're not PDS. So the practicing the OTTR0 is really good for like 10 minutes in the breathing, because it gets your whole vibe all right, and then you go and you flow well in the universe. Clearing the earth is impossible. And the reason, well, besides me, that's something I'm going to mention in this thing, is the whole truth about clear. But let's just assume that clear is true. Clearing the earth isn't possible because black people, there's no tech for black people. Like the primitives of like Australia and Africa, like the proper black ones, not like some black dude in New York City or something like that. They don't read on the e-meter and the tech doesn't work on them. And Hubbard literally says that in the South African briefing. You can find it online, but the church deleted it because it's so controversial. Because Hubbard says his racial ideas, which are like very pro-white, and it's just too offensive. So I don't know. But the reason why it's funny is because Hubbard just contradicts his Satan theories. Because Hubbard has the theory, and he really pumps it that the Satan's this magical being and the body doesn't matter and it's all bullshit. But then in the South Africa lecture, he changes his whole spin and he says how important the white body is and how the black body isn't as good and stuff. And it's as if like the Satan just is, his Satan theory during that lecture just disappeared. It's just like it's like suddenly he doesn't believe in the Satan. And it's so, I mean, it's the truth, the information he says. I actually agree with it. It's the truth, right? It's actually Nazi type ideas about DNA and that sort of stuff. But he just completely contradicts himself, and you're just like, this guy is just insane, because he says something one day and then another day says something different. And this backs up the stories that you hear. Like, he would say something about his mum. Like, one day he'd be like, oh, my mum's cool, and the next day we're talking to someone else, he'd go, oh, my mum's a bitch. And he was crazy. He was insane. He was actually, the way he would switch in his opinions and stuff. And this backs up where 1 minute it's like, yeah, the Satan, and yeah, do the auditing, and we make an OT, and the body doesn't matter. And then next minute is doing a South Africa lecture saying how the white body is where intelligence comes from. And if you leave the blacks alone in South Africa, they just get into gangs and just kill each other and stuff because they're primitive. And the only reason the blacks in North America are successful is because they interbred with whites and they've been civilized for hundreds of years. And it's just like, it's funny. Anyway, this is information you need to know, and it's information that's groundbreaking. And to be honest, if you're a believing Scientologist, you're just not going to believe what I'm saying, and you're probably you're in some mind control situation, and you're just not going to want to believe what I'm saying. You're just going to want to think that I'm crazy or something. But all the shit that I'm saying in this briefing is correct and true. Okay? But I think it's when people invest so much time into something, they've bought so much of it that it's too much to confront. It's like the COVID situation. It's just too much to confront. And so some believing Scientologists in or outside the church, they're just not going to believe what I'm saying. Okay, so yeah, so and in the South African briefing, like I was saying, L. Ron Hubbard said that he's got to work out tech for the blacks, but he didn't work it out. He didn't work out tech for the blacks. So we can't have a cleared Earth. It's an impossible goal because there's no tech that exists unless you want to invent the tech, but that's squirreling. So Scientology is fake. It's a scam, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not a complete scam, but it is pretty scammy, because the whole idea of it is to, take over the world with a Scio organ, clear the planet and stuff, and it's impossible. You just can't, right? And I know this not just from Hubbard saying that the blacks don't read on the e-meter, because I heard from someone else who was an auditor in South Africa. He said the same thing. And so anyway, it was a really good briefing, that South African one. I'm not going to go on to it because I've got so much to say, but he also predicts the future and stuff like that, and it's just amazing. Okay, so L. Ron Hubbard was apparently friends with Aleister Crowley, and the reason why this is important is because Aleister Crowley was, he was out there. He lived a life that was like possibly more ridiculous than L. Ron Hubbard's. Like, it was possible, like, he was into weird sexual stuff. He could have been into like ritual sacrifice. He was very out there, and he was also an intelligence agent secretly for the British. And I think he was using a religion he was started for intelligence activity purposes. And anyway, L. Ron Hubbard says he was friends with Crowley. You can hear him say that. And you read Crowley's stuff, and it's like magical Freemason stuff, and it's like, what the hell? It's so hard to understand. You got to obviously get into it. But not only was Hubbard apparently friends with Crowley, he was a fan of Crowley's stuff. And so when you read Crowley's stuff, you're just like, what the hell is this? Just go and try and read some of his books. You're just like, whoa. And to think that Hubbard was into this stuff and this black magic stuff, it's so funky. Like, I'm interested in it. Like, I want to look into it and try it and stuff like that. But you need to understand that when you're reading Hubbard, when you're listening to Hubbard, you need to understand this guy here is friends with Crowley and was a fan of Crowley. And so keep that in mind, because if Hubbard's this really nice, normal sort of man, I don't know, you wouldn't be friends with Crowley. Crowley has done some horrific stuff. Like, apparently he's done some seriously horrific stuff. Like, he was weird. Just really weird. And Hubbard was also friends with Errol Flynn. And Errol Flynn was the Australian actor, Hollywood actor. And he was a criminal. And he was also an intelligence agent. So, you see what I mean? Hubbard's friends with other intelligence agents because he probably is one himself. And also other people that are like criminal-like because he probably was criminal. Like, he was pretty out there, Hubbard. So I think you need to know that. Like, Errol Flynn was like Crowley. He was like bisexual and just, really weird sexually and stuff. Anyway, so apparently Hubbard was good friends with Errol Flynn, and it's also that Errol Flynn was like just wild. Like, for example, Errol Flynn would like be sitting there and be talking to someone, and they'll go, "How you doing?" And he'll go, "I've never been better, old chap." And then like that person would leave, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I'm really shit." Like, so he was just not there as a person. He was like a fake person or something. He was just bizarre, Errol Flynn. Like he was, again, it's just like Crowley. It's like, whoa, these are really strange people to be friends with. So you get an idea of what sort of personality Hubbard was. I mean, this is Scio facts you need to know. There's something that happened where L. Ron Hubbard got this chick in the Sea Org. He took her into a room and he didn't explain to her what he was doing. He just took her into a room, took her clothes off, put his dick in her. His dick wasn't even hard because he had the impotency problem. And he lay on her for like an hour. And I think he tried to come in her. And I don't think he did. Then he got up and left. And she was just like, what the hell was that? Like, she wasn't even introduced that this was L. Ron Hubbard. She just was like told to go meet some guy in a room. And the chick was like, what the hell is going on? And then when she didn't get pregnant, right, she got sent to the RPF in Scientology. So she got blamed for not getting pregnant when it was like Hubbard's impotency problem. And why was Hubbard randomly trying to knock up this Sea Org chick? And he chose it's just so bizarre. He chose a specific date to. She must have had good DNA or something. She must have been good looking, or like she looked like she would make a good baby or something. But he chose a specific date, to get her pregnant, and it was some sort of astrological date because he was into funky spiritual Crowley stuff. He was, you know what I mean, stuff that he criticizes other practices, but he was into that stuff. And so he was trying to maybe make a special baby or something like that. It's just so weird. And it's just, you got to believe, like, when you look into these stories, just like, what the hell? Like, it's just so funny. He was off the charts. If you wanted to watch a highlight reel of the 100 most interesting incidents in L. Ron Hubbard's life that he did, that would be so entertaining. Like if it was just like a summary, like a little summary, like a book of the 100 most crazy things L. Ron Hubbard did, and one of those, I'll put that story just there into one of them. But what happened is, after he didn't get her pregnant, he sent some Sea Org guy and to go and do the same thing to her, right? To lie on top of her for an hour. Like, Hubbard didn't fuck her. The Sea Org guy didn't fuck her. They just put their dick in her and lay on top of her, because I think he was doing like spiritual baby making. I think he didn't want to make it sexual or something. But also maybe because Hubbard couldn't get hard because of the impotency problem. And the chick was just like, what would you think? You'd just be like, what the hell was that? Like, it's just the weirdest thing. It's wild. It's unbelievable. You're not going to believe my shit. You're just not going to believe it because it's just too crazy. But he was just the craziest dude going around. But then you hear about when he was involved with Crowley and he was trying to make the Moonchild or something like that. He was doing some ritual with Jack Parsons in like 1946 or something. And they were doing some spiritual thing, and that involved, I think, giving birth to the Antichrist or trying to make a special baby or something. There's a whole story to that. And then that sort of backs up this other story you hear that happened in the mid-70s because he was still into funky beliefs. Anyway, so Crowley and Errol Flynn were basically drug addicts and criminals. Honestly, they were drug addicts and criminals when you look into Crowley and Errol Flynn's life. And he was good friends with them. Oh, Hubbard, another fact you need to know about Scientology, Hubbard was murdered. Okay? Miscavige knocked off Hubbard. Right? And Hubbard was already really old and useless and was, as he got older, he got more and more angry. He had like serious anger problems. This is where he wasn't like an uptone dude. He was like he was creative and cool in some moments, probably when he was high on drugs or something. But then he had other moments where he was just crazy. And that's also probably because it was high on drugs, because that's what stuff like caffeine does when you have heavy amounts of it in certain thingos. It sends you crazy, and you suddenly you're really angry and you're driving your car and you're like and you yell at the person because that's too slow, and that's because of caffeine. Like, drugs do these sorts of things because they mess with your chemical levels and stuff. Anyway, so Hubbard was murdered. But, it was pretty old anyway, but it was for legal purposes and all this sort of stuff. It was, it was just easier to get rid of him, but it was also so Miscavige could take over. But honestly, that's a fact you need to know. Hubbard was knocked off. He was going to live for a few more years. And they did something, they did a stunt. It was like all organized that while Hubbard would be dead, I think some of the guys would be off gambling or something and away, and it was all choreographed and planned, and they knocked him off, and they quickly burnt the body, and they didn't do an autopsy and stuff like that. So that, just in case you're wondering, that's the truth. Hubbard was murdered, and also Hubbard picked Miscavige because of Miscavige nutcaseness and getting stuff done, but in a really bad way. Hubbard's so responsible for Miscavige. I know Miscavige murdered him, and Miscavige took the bad side of Hubbard and did it even more. But Hubbard promoted Miscavige, and Hubbard trained him up in certain areas, and Hubbard liked, I guess, that he was a badass. So Hubbard's seriously responsible for the problems that Miscavige has caused to Scientology. Hubbard has caused all these problems in Scientology. His releasing of KSW made it strict, and his releasing of the Scio made it all like a strict military, and he stuffed it all up himself, Hubbard. People contributed, but Hubbard was very much the reason why Scientology is the way it is. So it's not just poor Hubbard, unlucky and stuff like that, and Miscavige screwed him over. Hubbard was responsible. Miscavige was one-one-y. He was suppressive. You could see it when he was young and new in the Sea Org and stuff, and Hubbard liked that in him and picked him. It's crazy. So I'm going to have to do this in 2 briefings, but anyway, I'll do a few more. But LRH got people together, I think, and checked on the E-meter if they were people of the light or people of the dark. And then he promoted people who were of the dark. And I think it's because he believes that people of the light are like pussies. And so you want to have people who are working for you who are like people of the dark, because they would make good salesmen, because they'll just rip people's money out of them, and they'll be tougher and stuff. And this sort of backs up the idea of Hubbard, which I know is a fact, Hubbard saying he was the Antichrist and being into Crowley's stuff, because Crowley was very anti-Christian and stuff. This backs up all that stuff, because it's like being of the dark. It's like preferring the Darth Vader side rather than being the nice side, because I think they think it's too weak or something like that. But when I found that out, I couldn't believe that. I thought that Hubbard would look through his staff and promote the people of the light and fire the people of the dark. But he sort of did the other thing. He promoted the people of the dark. That, you see what I mean? Because I don't know how he did it. He put on the E-meter and said, "Are you of the light or of the dark?" or something like that. Because there's this spiritual idea that, that people are either of the light or of the dark. Very interesting. LRH thought that Zoroastrianism was bullshit, and I think it's because Zoroastrianism believes in light versus dark, and maybe a heaven and a hell, and I think he thinks that's all implanting bullshit. But then he goes on in OT8 to talk about there being a basically bad guys trying to invade the universe, and they're responsible for the enslavery and stuff. So basically there is a force of dark that's trying to enslave people, and then he talks about the Galactic Federation of Light being the force of good. So he's just an idiot because he says one thing 1 minute and then another thing the next. He just switches in his beliefs. I mean, he's just so crazy. Like, he doesn't know what's going on, but he sells it. The way he sells Scientology to people is that he's an expert and he knows the truth, but he doesn't. He just is talking shit a lot of the time. L. Ron Hubbard said to David Mayer, like, secretly, at the time he was the top tech terminal in the church, he said that people don't blow because of overts. He said that they blow because they're upset, and that he just uses that overt tech to control people. So I believe that, because that's what it seems that he's doing. When you look at the way how people are involved in the church and staff and Sea Org, they're all controlled by overts. They're controlled by ethics. And if they want to leave, then they have to do these big sec checks. And if you just say someone's leaving because they're upset, then it's easier for them to leave. But if you say, no one leaves because they're upset, they leave because they've done naughty things, then it changes the whole spin on the thing, and it's all to control people. But apparently Ron Hubbard said that to David Mayo privately on the ship. And yeah, because that's what he was doing. He was controlling people. Another fact, and that's important because there's so much emphasis is spent in Scientology on overts, and it's just like, it's just ridiculous. Okay, it's a control mechanism. Some people can't run engrams, and I think it's a fact people need to know. Not everyone can just run an engram. It's not that easy. And L. Ron Hubbard sold Scientology as if it was like easy and everyone could do it, but that's just not true. And if he had problems with a PC and he couldn't get them into engrams, well, he would just get a new PC and he wouldn't write it in his book. He would just, when he wrote his books, he would just make out that the tech's so easy to do and anyone can do it. And like, he wouldn't tell the truth. Like, he tried to audit, I think, Aldous Huxley, and he couldn't really find engrams. And yeah, he just, if he doesn't succeed at something, he just doesn't talk about it. It's like the exteriorization thing. There are heaps of people who just can't go exterior. L. Ron Hubbard's wife even said to him, they were having an argument once, and L. Ron Hubbard's wife was saying, I can't go exterior. These processes aren't making me go exterior. And Hubbard was like, fine then. And he got together an auditor and all the exteriorization processes, and they did them on L. Ron Hubbard's wife, and she didn't go exterior. And it's just like, yeah, because some people just don't go exterior. And this is why it's just such a it's just where it's like a scam, because it's just not what it says it is. But then I notice if I call Scientology a scam, you'll hear that and make out that I'm saying it's all bullshit. No, there's so much truth to it. There's truth to entities. There's truth to the alien stuff. There's truth to magical things, moving objects with your mind, all this stuff. But the way the whole of Scientology is presented by Hubbard is basically a scam, because it's just, you don't get what's promised. People who have been doing the auditing for years and years and years are just ordinary. You look at their lives, they're ordinary. They're not exceptional. They're not OTs. They're just ordinary. And if anything, they've wasted all this time doing the Scientology entity crap, the BT stuff, the OT levels. They've wasted so much time on that. I mean, if they focused on other self-improvement things, they could have gotten much more involvement and stuff. So anyway. Yeah, so Hubbard just, he doesn't say that, you know, this person can't, some people can't run engrams or some people can't go exterior. He's just like, do this process and you'll go exterior, and do this process and you'll cure this. And he just doesn't. He keeps on repeating it. It's just like, from the beginning of Scientology, he said, this is a tech, blah, 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 this works. And then the next year, it's like, oh, this is new tech, and this now works. And, oh, we fixed up this problem. And it was like, oh, but I thought the other thing was perfect. And then, oh, we've got new tech now for this. And he just keeps on adding on more and more tech, and none of it really works. And then it goes, when he goes into the OT levels, that's when it goes into total ridiculousness, because he goes into entities, and the person has a whole new case now, because all they have to do is deal with entities, which aren't them. They're these beings that are around us, like ghosts that are in our body and shit. That's the theory of entities. Sorry to ruin all for you, but it's just like, you need to know the truth. And imagine you spent all this time auditing up to, you're halfway up the bridge, spent all this time, you're like clear and stuff, and then suddenly now you have to audit all these entities, and you have to do all this stuff for all these entities, and it just goes on for ages, and it's just like almost like a scam. It's just like, what the hell? And so I'll finish up with this thing, David Mayo renouncing the tech, because he was a top Scientologist. He got involved in the 60s, and he was L. Ron Hubbard's auditor, and he was a top international CS in the church. And then he left, and he did Scientology outside the church, and then eventually he woke up to the truth. And basically it was that the tech's pretty shit. And he pretty much renounced Scientology as an old man. And he was no longer a Scientologist, and because I think he realized that a lot of it was just people, like, you get wins and stuff like that with certain things, but a lot of the time I think that people it's a placebo effect. It's like you give someone a cigarette and you say it's got marijuana in it, but it doesn't have marijuana in it. But because they think it's got marijuana in it, they get high. And that is a real phenomenon in humanity. You could go around and trick numerous people, and I don't think it would happen with me, but there's a certain percentage of the population that can get tricked, and you can say, hey, smoke this, it's got weed, and it doesn't, and they'll actually experience being high from it because of their imagination and their mind creating reality or something. Scientology plays on that. And so heaps of people, Hubbard said, yeah, do this and it'll do that. Yeah, do this and it'll achieve this and it'll give you this effect. And they go and they do it and they go, wow, yeah, it really did it. And so they go, Scientology is real. And they don't get that it's a placebo effect that's occurring. And it's tricking them. And they're smoking a cigarette without any weed in it, but they're getting high off it. And so that's what I think is going on a lot in Scientology. And it doesn't, I mean, you definitely get wins from certain processes and grades, and I got wins and it's great. I mean, I've seen it do some amazing stuff. But there's like a whole chunk, maybe 50% of Scientology that's just bullshit, and it's actually placebo effect and stuff. And that's what's going on. And so, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. So it's just a big thing that this guy, David Mayo, renounced the tech because, I mean, you would trust what he would say about it because he studied psychology, or he studied heaps of Scientology and stuff like that, and he moved outside the church and all this sort of stuff, and I think that he came to the conclusion that this is just a waste of time. Like, this is just not achieving results, and he wasn't impressed with L. Ron Hubbard and the time that he spent with him and stuff. Like, he wasn't like, oh, this is an amazing guy. You can hear some of the stories he told, and you can tell he was just like, who the hell is this crazy guy? Like, I don't think he was that impressed. And he knew the shifty and bad side to L. Ron Hubbard. And this guy, Dave Mayo, also invented the solo knots that everyone goes on about. And he sort of invented it with L. Ron Hubbard. And anyway, it's just these are essential facts about Scientology that you need to know. And I'm going to go into part 2 because I want to wrap this up. Been going for over an hour now. So yeah, I guess I'll be at a different location when I do it, and I'm looking forward to putting the aircon on and having some water because it's hot where I'm at. Anyway, so this is going to go into a part 2, and then I'm going to do probably 2 parts on OT8, and that's it. This podcast will be over. I'll finally get there. So thanks for listening. I've been your host, Andy Noxious Space Cowboy. You've been listening to the Indie Scientology podcast. So remember, what you thought was impossible Remember that what you think is impossible actually is possible. And listen to this whole briefing again and you'll go, what the fuck? What is impossible is possible. See you later.